What stood out so far defensively from what you've seen?
I mean, there's quite a bit. I mean, you've got to start up front. The interior defensive line, they look they look bigger, they look stronger, they look more physical. There's some different bodies in there than there was a year ago. You got the transfer and the Terry kid from Tennessee, and he looks really good. And they've moved Laulu inside from that defensive end spot. And you got to remember, he had spring ball, and then they're a handful of, like, he's still only probably like 20 practices in tops at playing in the interior. So he's still, trying to get acclimated to that. But I think he's done really well. The D line to me has a chance as long as, guys keep progressing and health doesn't become an issue. I feel like that area could be a pretty big upgrade from a year ago.
Yeah. And no offense to, Jeffrey Johnson or anything like that, but there's no doubt there's been a talent upgrade on the interior. And I thought it was interesting that, when the ones went against the ones, Laulu was in that first group of interior guys, right? Him and Dejon Terry. And it seems like Laulu is really starting to adjust to life in the muck, man. Right? He's starting to adjust to life in the interior. I thought I was paying a lot of attention to his pad level, right? And individual drills when they were hitting bags, then what he was doing in the 9-on-7 periods. I'm impressed with how he's carrying that weight. I think by the time we kick this thing off, he's going to be 300 pounds. And I liked what I saw from his pad level. That's going to be a key piece for him, right? Being able to, as tall as he is, to play with the lower pads, he looked like he's still, even with the weight gain, like he still bends well. He still has that athleticism you're looking for. He's going to be a very important player for them. It's clear. Like we knew that when Brent sent him to Big 12 Media Day, right? That was an absolute, just set the sirens off and let you know. But the fact that he was in that first group when I was out there, that is, I think that says a lot. And I think it says a lot about how the staff feels about him.
Yeah. No, they've got some stuff where, they're working some penetration and twist games and stuff up front. And I'll just tell you right now, when he's going into a gap and penetrating, when they're running a twist, he's got some push now. And, just those two guys alone, if talking about Terry and Laulu, both of those are new guys to the interior. And, you're talking about going about 320 with Dejon Terry and Laulu 6'6", going to be 3 bills. I mean, they're starting to look a little bit better on the interior. That's kind of what we've been waiting on. And they're in a different world right now, it feels like, than they were a year ago.
Yeah. And, with Laulu emerging, with the addition of Terry, like I think that's elevated Jordan Kelly's play. Right.
Yeah.
Talk to a couple of the starting interior offensive linemen about, I say, hey, who's that suck the block right now? Jordan Kelly's name came up every time. They said he's stronger. They said he's faster. They said he's more agile. Like the quickness is improved. It may be the fact that it's his last go, right? That's always a motivating factor, but it's a guy that has been a starter, and I don't think he has any intention of giving up his starting spot. So the way I see it in the interior right now, and Isaiah Coe didn't flash particularly to me, but we've seen him flash, right, in games in the past. So I think you're hoping to have 6, right, on the interior of the defensive line, but Laulu, Coe, Kelly, and then you throw Terry in there. I mean, that's a solid 4. And we'll see how the other 1 or 2 guys that may get into the rotation, we'll see how it works out. Because you can't play 10. You just can't.
Yeah. There's a couple of the younger guys that, the weight isn't where you need it to be. That they're eventually going to get there, but some of the young guys are playing really good football. And they really
Sanders continues to flash just a little light. Halton, kind of a similar conversation. You just have to got to have a little more sand in the pants, you know. You
Yep.
just, but I think
their rotation is in a good spot, I think.
yeah. So one of the things that stood out to me is sticking on the defense. I don't know about you, man, but Ethan Downs looks noticeably thinner to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd say from a year ago, like during the season, like I'd say he's like 20 pounds lighter. And I'm not entirely sure why. I gotta assume he didn't feel great at that heavier weight and didn't feel like he could move the way that he wanted to. But yeah, that was just something I went out there. It's like, man, 40. Because I was under the impression that he may even go the other way, like get even bigger, maybe play some, some passing situation 3 technique or something like that. That maybe that was his future. But no, he's noticeably leaner than a year ago.
Yeah. And I wouldn't say necessarily that that's a problem. I still think he's got plenty of punch, plenty of strength, and still plenty of size there. But if you look back a year ago, he needed to be more active and needed to be able to get off the ball a little bit better, be able to pursue, play that edge a little better with some lateral movement whenever you get put in a tough spot with some zone read stuff, or whenever people are running away from you. I don't have a problem with that as long as he doesn't start getting pushed around, which I don't think is going to happen. So, I mean, part of it makes me feel like it's really competitive there, and there's some guys that have really good get off and pass rushing skills, and he's got to be able to be more explosive and be able to move a little bit better off the edge. We'll see.
Yeah. I think Reggie Grimes still, I mean, looks the part, but this is kind of where I'm at with Reggie. It's like, hey, you got to go produce, right? You got to go make plays. Right? We all know he's a great guy. We all know that he's got the size, the weight, the length that you want. Sometimes you get to the point like, hey man, you got to show me, you got to go do it. So it looks good out there, moving well. Still not a twitchy guy, right? But we'll just see where he's at. Our Mason Thomas, I continue, even though he was in a boot, one practicing, he's a guy you just look at the physical development as compared to a year ago, and it's impressive. And talk to some people at practice to think that he potentially could be their most impactful player on the edge this season, right? Unless PJ just completely takes off the way that the staff thinks he's going to. But when you talk about explosiveness, twitch as a pass rusher, being able to hold the point better at the point of, at the point of attack in the run game, like they think he's going to make a big jump this year. So it's unfortunate that, you get rolled up a little bit and you got to miss some time.
Yeah. The thing I'm worried about with him is like, I don't have any doubt that he's their best pass rusher when they're in one-on-ones. All right. You're in a controlled environment. You're in a controlled drill. It's easy to get off the rock. Right? You don't have to worry about, countering back or playing the run. That's where I worry about him. As far as beating the drill, no one's going to have a better get off. They don't have anyone that can bend like him. He's got really good tools. He's got long arms. He bends at the hips well. He's going to win that drill, but it's not a drill out there on the field. And he's young, and that experience is going to come. Can we get it consistently? All right. Can we get the consistent play? Can you afford to have him out there in all those other situations, waiting on that 3rd and 8 where you can kind of cut him loose on a pass rush? That's the only thing I'm worried about with him. But overall, I think the edge spot still looks the same. Deep, you got a group of guys that have multiple different, weapons and styles, and it's just going to be a matter of finding who's your best 2. And I imagine kind of like the interior, they're going to have a nice rotation.
Yeah. Our guy Bothroyd still looks good.
Yeah.
No, he doesn't look as good as a lot of the other guys in the group, but the production and play continues to be there. And I think he's their best player on the defensive line. Right?
Yep.
We've been saying it since the spring. The guy can play football. Not gonna
Consistency.
not gonna win any beauty contests, right? When you talk about body type, dude can just play.
Yep. He's consistent. You know what you're going to get every snap. He's going to be in the right spot. He's going to take advantage of whatever, a lineman's too flat, or he's gone up against him a couple of times in pass rush and kind of knows what his flaws are. He's going to use that against guys and just be a dude that's always in the right place with good production. I mean, you got to have guys like that, and we definitely need it at that spot. Last year, we started off with a bang at edge and faded into obscurity at the position as the season rolled on. So that can't be the case this year.
No, but just watching the defense as the whole, it's clear how important Stutzman is, right? Directing traffic. And part of me wonders, hey, is there anyone else behind him that can do what he does at the level that he's doing it? Just, and I'm not talking from a, goal and making plays physically standpoint. I'm talking just a mental aspect of things, right? If something happened to him, could Kanik do that, right? Could he go out there and direct traffic? I think that's an interesting conversation, but the position that stands out, right? Like the secondary is the group that when you go out there to practice, you go, okay, it's starting to look a lot more like what it should look like.
Yep. They are deep at safety. I mean, they've got some guys that can absolutely play. Corner is super competitive right now. They got playmakers at corner. I feel like it's the best our secondary has looked in. I don't know. You may be able to just keep going far back as you want to. There's some serious playmakers back there. Bowman looks great. Reggie Pearson looks great. Key Lawrence looks really good. Peyton Bowen looks really good. They're also going to get Robert Spears Jennings back as gradually as he works back from that shoulder. Some other young guys, Vickers, and it's a good looking group, man. It really is.
Yeah. Harrington, the switch to the single digit, nice.
Looks good.
Looks good. I'm going to be shocked if he's not your main starter at the cheetah position. I know it'll be situational, right? I think McCullough's going to factor in maybe some of these teams that go, do people even call it regular personnel anymore?
I don't know. Heavy personnel is just like two tight ends in the game. I don't know.
So when I think Venables is going to get creative with how they use the cheetah position in the defense, depending on offensive personnel situation, things like that. But I'm almost to the point where Harrington is a lock as a starter for me. The most interesting, and you're right, the safety competition it's going to be fierce, but the most interesting thing for me is who's going to be the corner opposite of Woody Washington. I think multiple guys are going to play, but just watching the first group throughout practice, you had Josiah Wagner run out with the first group. I think that you're going to see a lot of Kendall Dolby continues to run out there with the first group. He's kind of the guy that no one's really talking about, right? I'll be honest, I was like 15. Who's that again? It's because we haven't seen him be a main factor, right, when it comes to playing actual downs on a Saturday. But Gentry Williams is going to be a guy I think's in the mix. I think that corner opposite of Woody Washington that's one of the most intriguing position battles on the team.
Yeah, and it's one of those that it's a position battle that I have no concern over.
Right. Wagner looks fantastic.
Whoever wins it, I feel really good about, and they're going to get good rotation. They've got some bodies there. One last thing on Harrington. I've been saying this, and I continue to feel this way. The cheetah position with Justin Harrington from last year to this year, that is the single biggest improvement at any position on the entire football field, offense and defense.
Just
from last year to this year with what you get at Justin Harrington. And I still think that he's going to have an incredible year, all conference top of year. I'm looking from Justin Harrington. He's like athletically, he's 6'3", 215 plus pounds, runs like a gazelle. He'll strike you in, whenever he gets in the box, plays in the box. He's a good blitzer. He knows the defense well, and he's still improving there. He's going to have a really good year.
Yeah, and I talked to a couple of members of the strength staff. They said he's been way more vocal throughout the offseason, right? Trying to embrace the leadership role, like knows the type of leader he has to play, playing that position within the defense. So it's all positive for Harrington right now. But I know there's some people saying it's been positive for a while on that guy. You got to go make plays on Saturdays. So it seems like he's going to make plenty of them. So, okay.